Really didn't think there was a dimension in the multiverse where I would be making another video talking about the Technoblade LARPing stuff.
Technolarp. Yeah, bro, I saw this. This is crazy. Like actually having like somebody do like a Technolarp thing where it was like his literally channel called Technolarp, but the guy acts like he's Technoblade and tries to make videos like he's Technoblade, LARPing as if Technoblade and call himself Technolarp with like the same similar skin reworked a little bit and trying to use the name of Technoblade to get money.
I just made a video flapping my gums about how I find it to be weird and distasteful. It's not in good taste, and there's certain things about it I find to be disrespectful, to be honest. The fact that Techno Larper reached out to Technoblade's father asking permission to impersonate his deceased son, never got a response, and took the silence as permission to just go ahead, go hog wild, hit the gas, and do it anyway until he's told otherwise. Basically, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I just found that to be, no matter how you spin it, odd, and seemingly not caring about how the father of this beloved YouTuber would feel about you making a career off pretending to be him, even going so far as to play with his friend, Skeppy, while still in character as Technoblade Larper. And I just made it clear that I don't like it. I don't. It rubbed me the wrong way, but overall I didn't think he was like a malicious guy, and I still don't. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think that he is really lost in the sauce here and is doing everything to try and make it seem like he's on the morally correct side of things and that you're okay to disagree, but if you do disagree, it's because you don't have the whole context and actually this is a good thing he's doing. He came into my stream tonight to talk to me about
Yeah, actually
my
want
video
to.
missing crucial context that painted him in a bad light and now everyone's scared. I think referring to like the other LARP tubers. Now he said that as a result of this story blowing up, which by the way it was blowing up well before I talked about it. Again, Matt was the one that put this on my radar in the first place. It was already big. And as a result, he said that he got doxxed and that his family was even getting like death threats and stuff, which obviously is something no sane person condones. I never encourage harassment of any kind. All I was doing was giving my opinion on how I felt about it, which is I don't like it. I never would ever advocate for that kind of treatment. Anyway, as for like the everyone's scared thing, like everyone's, chomping at their nails, tinkling their britches for whatever reason and blaming me for it, I'm a little confused there because I made a strong point saying that I am aware of the LARP tubing community and I actually really like it. That it's entertaining, it's silly, it's fun, it's wholesome. So like, I don't know where that's coming from. Technolarp is an entirely different beast for very obvious reasons. This is like comparing cereal to fucking nitroglycerin. Like this is night and day differences with the other LARP tubers. Technolarp is in an entirely different ballpark. Technoblade passed away 4 years ago from cancer, and it has still left a void in the community that will never be filled, obviously. And then Technolarper comes in, and he just one-to-one recreates the content, the style, and everything, and then even plays with Skeppy. So it feels as though he is stepping in to try and be like the Technoblade replacement. And even if he denies that, in the context that he's referring to is that Skeppy apparently reached out to him to schedule the collab, that doesn't change things. And I do have the screenshot of that in the video. It's just not something I paid any attention to because that's not what's important. It's the fact that it happened at all. You could have said no. You could have said, no, this crosses a line and I'm not comfortable doing something like this because it feels like now I'm trying to integrate into a community to continue LARPing as your deceased friend, which is not something that is healthy for people that are still very clearly dealing with this loss. And if you really wanted to play with him, because obviously he looked up to Technoblade, Technolarper that is, and I imagine his friends as well, then play with him, but as yourself, not Technoblade. So anyway, we had a lot of back and forth throughout the stream, and he even implied that I should make a follow-up video now with the additional context, which I don't think adds anything here. I still think this is a bad look because it was still your choice to do it. Even if you were reached out to first, you still had every opportunity to say, no, this feels like it crosses a line into like like a replacement type of thing, like integrating too deeply into the community while pretending to be Technoblade. So like it does to me, I don't think it changes anything, which is why I didn't make like a strong point about it. But anyway, I wanted to show you how this conversation went. And just off rip here, I want to mention a couple things I find to be very important because I felt schmeckeldorfed when I was learning some new things about Technolarper directly from him. And I think a lot of other people have been at least somewhat misled on the whole kit and caboodle here of Technolarper. I was under the impression, as well as many others, that there was money going to charity through Technolarper making this content. In his description, it said, still deciding charity earnings. So the implication is the content is generating money that is solely used for charity. That is not the case. And after the stream where we went back and forth in this conversation, he changed it to I do not have monetization enabled, just full stop. And something I talked about in the last video is a tweet where he said he wasn't going to make money off it unless he got Techno Dad's blessing to do so. And I was a little confused on what that meant, if he was trying to earn personally or more for charity. Because again, so many people like myself were under the impression that all of this was done with no like financial gain on his own end or anything like that, just all money going to charity
the entire time, which is fine.
And that was something that was used as a defense of the entire thing, about how he's doing this from like an ethical perspective, where he is doing all of this just because he was so inspired and wanted to pay homage and a tribute to Technoblade, and all the money was going to charity. Well, that's a half-truth. The charity money is generated through the streams that he does. So he has a charity donation link at the Tiltify. And then right under that, he has a personal donation link where you can donate to Technolarper himself.
What?
The guy doing this. And then at the very bottom, he even has a sponsored section. Server hosting by Prism nodes. Use code LARP at checkout for 30% off on any purchase.
That's disgusting.
That feels like a deliverable for a sponsorship. He has his own code, LARP. That's affiliate marketing. So you're taking sponsors as Technolarp. When I asked him about that on stream, he said that they paid him in a server and that they had offered him money, but he declined. But you still have a code. So like, where's that going? Is that going to charity? He didn't say on stream, but like, that's very odd. You have a sponsor as Technolarp, and you do have a direct personal donation link to you, not to charity. And he did even say on stream that
is weird.
Yeah, that's there, but the charity donations far eclipse the personal ones that he's received. So you are financially benefiting from it. Like, no matter how you spin it, you are making money off being Technolarp. So like, that does, at least to me, change things in how I perceive this. I was under the impression that it was all going to charity.
Oh, this guy literally was like, oh, this guy is doing this thing. He's asking for money. He's doing this because he likes the guy so much, his content. He feels like inspired. He wants to do this. Understandable. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's kind of like, okay, I get it, whatever, bro. Fine, sure. But then he's like, you need to update this thing. I'm not doing it for money. Okay, you're not doing it. We know this. You said you're going to do it for charity, which is even better, but not like the best thing, you know? You're still like copying somebody's content, but you're LARPing to be someone, which is kind of weird. But now you're saying you make money and you have a sponsorship for LARPing somebody?
You weren't financially benefiting from it. You were benefiting with like a very successful YouTube channel, but not like money going into your pocket. But you are. So then that hullabaloo that you said on Twitter about how you're not going to make any money off it unless Techno Dad gives his blessing, that's a load of fish paste?
He has a YouTube channel. He has a stream. And he has a Twitter page that he's LARPing as Technoblade. Like, the Technolarp is his name. He's literally saying he's LARPing as a person that died 4 years ago because of cancer and has like one of the biggest names in Minecraft community. That's just weird, no? Like, just the concept of LARPing to be someone is just weird. That's like using AI to act like someone. Is the equivalent of that. That is just bad, no?
Was that just a liar plants for hire moment? Because you have a personal donation link. Technodad never gave you that permission. And Technodad's statement is very clearly saying that he doesn't know how to feel about this. After so much pressure from your community as well as everyone in general asking, like, well, what's his take on it? He came out and said and made it very clear how uncomfortable he is with it and that his feelings are ultimately inconclusive. And yet, you're still making money off it, even without his permission to do it, and even after you said you wouldn't make money off it unless he said you could. Like, I don't know, you can't see why that's not good, and that's weird? This is going to be a bit of a longer video because even before getting into like the back and forth on stream, which again, I wanted to be the focus of this, but there's so much to talk about here. I want to talk about the people that are doing the best they can to defend Technolarp, you know, putting up the shield and fighting his PR battles for him for free on Reddit. The amount of people saying that I didn't do any research on it and got all my facts wrong and that it was just a jumbled mess is fucking baffling. I'm stating my opinion and just talking about like the plain facts. We don't know how Technoblade would respond. And if we want to go down that route, we do have at least this screenshot of how Technoblade responded to someone else making money off his brand when he was still with us. But we don't know if he'd find this like entertaining and give his blessing or he wouldn't like it. And we can't use that for anything. All we can go on is how for 50-50. Was that just a liar? Never.
You say he doesn't want people selling fan art?
About we do, and
so like just because you don't want people selling their fan art that they made of you. I mean, yeah, that's respectable, but everybody does that for like all the big streamers and stuff. I mean, you find it weird, but people are still gonna do it. But you know, he doesn't really like it, but it's fine.
We can't use that for anything. All we can go on is how his father feels, because that is what should really matter here. And his dad is very clearly uncomfortable with it at the very least and states as much. But there's so much pressure on him to try and talk, and he doesn't want to be viewed as like a bad guy or the enemy. And I think that comes across very clear where he's playing nice with this whole thing, but he isn't comfortable with it and never gave his permission for Technolarp to make money off it, for sure, or do it in the first place and continue.
I think it's just straight up just fucking weird, no? Just fucking weird. Like straight up, it's just weird. That's it. Just fucking weird. Just weird behavior. It's actually just weird behavior. It's like if you see somebody doing this on like, if you see out somebody like doing this in real life, you just be like, this is a fucking weirdo. Why can't we have that on the internet? Like, why do we have to like assume and give them like, brother, this is like some human being. It's not like an anime character. It's not like some fib of somebody that you can do. You can LARP, like, you can LARP being Luffy. No one gives a fuck. It's a fake character. Nobody gives a shit. This is a real human being that you're LARPing. That's insane. That's psychotic.
Continue doing it. The other piece of context that apparently...
I'll say it. It's fucking weird. He won't say it. I'll say it. It's fucking weird. When people LARP people, they do it as like a comedic skit. This guy is literally just ripping and trying to act like he is the guy, which is fucking weird. Like, there are people who did like, there was like a speed variant, an XQC variant. People did these things and just assumed that they're mannerisms, but they're themselves, right? They're still their own person. This guy is trying to be somebody else. That's the weird part. They're trying to make money off it and trying to say that this is fine. I'm just doing this to pay homage. But you're literally acting like the person trying to be the person himself. If you like his content, just copy his style. Nobody's saying anything to you. You can copy the style. Everyone copies people's styles. Mr. Beast has like 5,000 variants. Nobody's saying anything. You yoink and twist. Sure. You want to play homage? You can pay homage. You can use his... You can literally do a million things that could pay homage that are respectable. But this is just fucking weird.
The research missed was that Technodad had apparently said Skeppy can do it if he wanted to. Again... That is, to me, not him enthusiastically giving his stamp of approval. It's, he keeps getting pressured and he's just saying, okay, yeah, you can do that if you want to do that. That's how I see it. The missing context is just one that I didn't think added anything to it at all, because the fact of the matter is that collab should have never happened in the first place if this was something that was actually approached with respect to Technoblade, because that does cross a line, I feel. And it's not just me that thinks it's weird, by the way. People in the community, people like Tubbo, are also expressing similar sentiment. Is it safe to say I'm really not sure I'm a fan of this whole LARP account trend thing? It just feels off. And then a response from Sneaksnag, you're not a fan of a dude impersonating our dead friend? And he says, I know, right? This isn't an uncommon or perspective that's only shared by those that are biased and haven't done enough research or missed context. Like, these are people that
If Technobat asks to delete the channel, he then becomes the villain of the LARPer fans.
new Technoblade, people that are in the community, and they are also expressing similar sentiment that it's weird. It's not great. Anyway, though, now I will finally just play you the stream where I was talking back and forth with Technolarp through chat. I know you didn't mean to cause what you did. You may not even know the full context of what is happening. Down to talk about it whenever. A lot of people are scared right now. What?
What?
What do you? I have no idea what you're referring to there, man. The LARP tubers? What's. I don't understand. Holy vague post. It came from Technolarp, so I'm assuming it's about me talking about how I don't find that to be in good taste. I've been doxxed and my family has been threatened. Some other LARP tubers are also under attack. Well, that's awful. I'm sorry to hear that. You were reasonable but missed some context. It painted me bad. I know you meant well. Is the context that Skeppy reached out to you? Because I didn't miss that. That is there. I just didn't find that to be an important thing to mention because it's not who reached out to who. It's the fact that you still did it in the first place, man. You could have said no. Or if you wanted to collab with him, just do it as yourself, not as...
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? There's no accountability. No one will ever admit what they're doing is weird. No one will just be like, okay, I did something weird. My bad. My bad. I'm sorry. No one will ever say that sentence. That sentence will never come out of anybody's mouth. They'll be like, why are you attacking me? I was just doing it for fun because I respect him. Why are you against me? No one will just... It will never be a time where some shit like this happens and somebody will just be like, I'm sorry. My bad. Whole problem solved. The guy apologized. He admitted he's wrong. Maybe he deletes the video. Maybe he leaves it. It's gonna be on the internet forever. You know what? Monetize it. Say you're donating it to charity. Psh, even better. Talk to Techno Dad. Something. Figure out something. Leave the channel. Be like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. Millions of things. Infinite possibilities of bettering the thing. Maybe you literally what you could do infinite things. Infinite possibilities are possible if you do it like amicably, nice human being, like a normal human being. You treat people like a normal human beings, and you don't go like full insane. Let's say this guy is like some random guy, right? And he did this without any intention of harm, and this happened, and people are like, this is bad. Okay, you know what? If that's the situation, his mentality was not even a singular intention of ill intent, find a solution, move on, let it go. Boom. Move on. But this is just sad now. That is like trying to like verify that what you're doing isn't that bad. People are taking it the wrong way. Although this is objectively and definitely weird.
A beloved deceased figure that happened to be his friend. There's not like context I missed, man. It's just my opinion that I find it to be weird, especially since you reached out to Technodad, got no response numerous times, and still proceeded to do it.
Okay, let's also add the fact that sometimes when people do things, this is a fact. This is an actual fact when you talk to people. Some people are not aware of what they're doing is bad. Yes, it might be like people say it's common sense. Common sense sometimes is not very common. It happens. People are in a certain mindset. They're thinking about something. What they're doing isn't what they intended the outcome to be. Things happen. These things happen. This is called life. That's why you are able to grow. That's what happens. This is what called learning. You need to learn. You learn. You need to give people the opportunity to learn. Look at other people. There's so many people you can look to learn from. The biggest and the best one to look at is iShow Speed. You can see some crazy clips, but if you look at him now, night and day difference.
That's a choice, and it's just not one that I like, but I'm not your dad, man. You can keep doing it. I started this not thinking it would go big. I only reached out to Technodad one time. He was pressured by the community. In his statement, he said you reached out a couple times, yeah? Was that not correct? But regardless, still, man, you didn't get a response and still did it. Like, that didn't seem whether or not he cared about it or how he felt about it. And that's all I was saying. I find it weird.
Okay. Is it still up though? Is it like still there though? Did anything change? Was there like a difference that happened? Was there any like thing that came out of this interaction? The video is still there. I mean, yes. This is getting really bad. I've been getting doxxed and people are trying to come after my friend will make a niche. I said wrong about all this, but I German might not drag the booze into this or make it better than it should be. Okay.
There's not a whole lot to change my mind on it. I find it to be in poor taste, is all. He also talked to Skeppy about it and okayed him to do the collab. Who, Technodad? Alright, it still doesn't change my perspective on it, man. And like you said, pressure from the community, I imagine he probably felt obligated to give his blessing to that. You had a choice of not doing it. Or doing it, but not as the LARP. Like, these things don't really change a whole lot on how I feel about it. The opinion's fine, everyone's opinion's respected. I don't want you to change your mind, just the fact that so much context was cut and making it look like Technodad was against me. Brother, in his own statement, he said he is very conflicted on how to feel about it. You've put him in a very awkward, uncomfortable position and took his silence as permission. And even now, you're doing the same thing. Do you not see how weird that is for him? Like, his statement makes it pretty clear. So even though he's not outwardly against you, because that would probably lead to fans getting upset at him, so he's doing his best to navigate that, he still is very clearly not enthusiastic about it. There's no cut context or anything, man. That was his statement. As for like him saying Skeppy can do it, didn't see anything about that. But again, that still doesn't change it. That collab, I don't think was in good taste regardless. I think it's unhealthy for Skeppy, and I think that's a bad look for you. That makes it look like you're trying to replace him in the community. If you're talking about his post from 3 days ago about how much talk there is about Technolarp, he's just approaching it with a good attitude. Nothing like really being like, oh no, it's all cool and joking around about it. Because it seems like the community that you've built up was really pressuring him to talk about it, as you said. That's the only thing I can find of him even being, like, outside of his statement about how he can't quite figure out how to feel about it. That's the only other thing I see, which is this. I'm assuming this is what you're talking about. Is this right? Because this is the only one I can find like it to even vaguely match what you're describing. That and the comment he made somewhere calling it a tribute band. So you think that this shows that he's like cool with it? That's your takeaway from that? So you acknowledge that he was being pressured to speak on it, and then take that as like him joking around with it, so he's like probably okay? Because that's not how I read that. Not exactly taking it as a yes, fully aware he's still thinking on it, have not posted since then. But you reached out early, right? And got no response, so then still just did it. So it wasn't until all this that you've had second thoughts on it. LARP Penguin Zero also spoke about it. He looks up to you. Brother, I got nothing against the LARP tuber community. I thought I made that abundantly clear. And you're fine to have different feelings on it if the LARP tubers feel differently on it. But yours is a very unique case where you are building a very successful career off of LARPing as a deceased beloved individual and directly integrating into the community, whether or not you believe it, as his
This is what I'm
replacement.
saying.
And I think you knew that going into it,
This
man.
is
I
the
saw your
problem.
Twitter. One
That
of
is
the
the
things
problem.
you posted was about how
The
you're
problem isn't that they're doing like a comedic sketch or like copying like the style or doing the thing. The problem is that it literally feels like they're trying to replace the person. There's literally people who make videos like other people. That's fine. That's entertaining. That's what entertainment is. Sometimes some people are better at somebody's type of comedy than somebody else or type of content than somebody else. Some copies are better than the original. Let's be honest. Sometimes when somebody copies somebody's style of videos, the person who copied the original person does better. It is a thing. It is fine. Nobody has a problem. It's annoying. It might piss off the original person because it's their ideas, but it's a thing. It happens. It's unfortunate, but it is true. And unfortunately, this isn't one of those examples. This is literally trying to be the person themselves. That's the problem.
surprised by how little drama there was around what you're doing. Skippy sees me as another person, not Technoblade, not a replacement. Then why do you go as Technoblade, as Technolarp? And why does he call you Techno in that video? And even if that is true, man, you don't think that that's unhealthy? If he saw you as just another person, why not go as yourself? Why go in character? And as I said, I don't think you're a bad guy, but I don't think that you're willing to see where people are coming from and why it's so impassioned, or what you're doing and how it affects people that are directly involved with it, like Skeppy, or obviously Technoblade's father. I'm not going to ask you to make another video with more context, but it would be nice. Some of your fans have taken it too far. Okay, am I... What is it? A nut... What? Brother, you keep saying missing context. And then the two things you listed are two things that I don't think add any further context to change anything, to like justify it. Because again, man, the brass tacks, taking out how I feel about it, the very simple fact is, Technodad did say that it is inconclusive how he feels. He doesn't know how to process it. And you reached out, got no response, and still did it anyway. If nothing else, that feels bad. And you can try and dress it up however you want, but that's an immutable fact. My monetization is and has been turned off. That's one thing that should have been stated maybe. I read your about section. You said you were deciding where the money will go to what charity. That is in your own about section. And then on your Twitter, you said you won't make money until Technodad gives you the okay. And I said I don't exactly know what that means, if that means that you're not making money or that you plan on it in the future, but in the meantime are donating to charity. That is in your about section, that you are deciding where the money, what charity it's going to. So actually, you saying that is a little interesting because the community that watches you thinks that you're donating the money you're making to charity. I have a donation link in my live streams for charity through Tiltify. So you have a donation link for charities? I want to sit on this for just a moment because he said that he wrote that after running a community poll for when the channel was monetized. When the channel was monetized is the verbiage he used in that community post. And in there, he ran a poll on what the audience would be okay with in terms of the revenue split of him and charity. I feel like that's a very different entree than the one that we'd been getting served off the menu, where everyone, including him leading into it, has been saying that, no, it's always been about like charity. You know, it all goes there. If any money gets made, it's going there. He has a community post from a month ago where he does outright kick around the idea of like, hey, you know, this should be worth something and I'm not in the best
Just for like added context, the guy is account is suspended on Twitter or X, probably for, I'm guessing, for impersonation. Probably guessing, because I don't know. It doesn't say, so I can't tell.
financial spot. What would you guys be okay with? Like is there a world where I can start taking some of the revenue that this channel could generate when it's monetized? Like, and that's not including the personal donation link that he has in his streams. We hit 40K. I've been thinking financially, I'm not in the greatest position, and this channel makes no money. I would like it all to go to charity when it does start making money. However, hosting these events that I want to make and getting a $250 flight sim to beat Minecraft, etc., I would like to know from you, the community of Technoblade, if I deserve even a portion of the money made. Been thinking about it for a while. While I do have to put effort into making this content, which should be worth something, it wouldn't be watched if not for Technoblade's legacy, and ran a poll to his community about should 25% of the money go to charity, so Technolarp gets most of it, 50%, so he gets half, 75, so he gets a little, or 100%, he gets none. The community voted mainly for 50-50. So if the channel got monetized, well, and also it's not an if. In his statement, he literally says, I would like it all to go to charity when it does start making money. So it does seem like that was the plan, or at least he was expecting Techno Dad to grant him his blessing for it. And then he then goes into saying, but, you know, there's a lot of effort that goes into this content, which should be worth something. And then pulls his audience about, like, well, how much can I take from this? You know, like, how much would be okay with you guys? Again, that does feel kind of contradictory to what everyone says about the Technolarp channel and what he was saying during stream about, like, well, all of it's, you know, to benefit charity. It seems like even a month ago he was at least kicking around the idea of taking some of the money himself when the channel was monetized. So that's not even from like the personal donation link. That's from the channel being monetized. If it got when it got monetized, according to him. So like, it seems like that may have been something that he was actually exploring. In his streams, he also has a personal donation link as well, which is weird not to mention. Is that true, Technolarp? I haven't seen the streams. Do you have one for
And he
charity and one for
streams.
yourself then?
Mm.
I wrote that a while back when I made a community vote. Should have cleared it out. Haven't made money off ads. Is there 2 donation links in your stream though? I didn't see anything on that. Yes, I have a personal one that I barely ever mention that people can optionally donate to. I feel like it's pretty obvious why you would barely mention that, man, considering a big part of the identity is that it was for a positive cause, which is something I highlighted too, about how I thought and your community thought you were donating all of this to charity. So you do have a personal donation through there as well, as Technolarp? I think it's pretty clear why you wouldn't mention that, because that's a very different look. The community wanted to donate to me personally. I only talked about it on stream. You don't see why that's an issue? You don't see the conflict there? I see the concerns for sure.
I'm not really saying anything because I want to listen to this.
So then why do it? I also wonder if he was paid for the sponsorship in the description for Minecraft server hosting.
What?
What?
He has a what?
Server hosting by Prism Nodes. Use code LARP at checkout for 30% off of any purchase. That's in your most recent stream. That's under your personal donation link as well. Was that a sponsorship you took as Technolarp? Prism Node gives us free server to host LARP on if we promoted them. I made nothing from it.
Interesting.
You have a code with them. That's affiliate marketing. You don't see anything from that? They said that I could get 20% off at each time, but declined. Said if I did, I would go to the developers of this. It would go to the developers of the server. So I'll take your word for it. But again, you don't see how that's weird? That you are now doing business as Technolarp? Like, you keep saying that this is all just supposed to be in, like, good fun. They're just fun little videos to pay tribute to him. But you have a personal donation link. Your About section is entirely wrong about, like, the charity money, because the perception that I and everyone else had is that you are sending this money that you're making as Technolarp to charity, which is a positive thing. And you also are working with companies as Technolarp. I'll take your word for it that you didn't get paid for the affiliate marketing, that you declined it, so you did it for free to team up with them as Technolarp to promote them. But do you not see why that's pretty unsavory? Like, it's not...
I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't sound like he's talking to an adult, I'll be honest. It feels like he's talking to like an 18 or 19-year-old kid who is doing this because they like Technolarp a lot because I don't see it being like some like adult being like this is like the way it's done. Because the way they're talking does not seem like they're an adult because we don't know how old they are yet. They never mentioned their age, did they?
You say you see the concerns, but like it should be pretty clear that this is very different than other LARP tubers. So like again, you saying that people are like everyone's afraid now that I talked about Technolarp in a negative way, like again, that's not true. I think LARP tubing is totally fine. Yours is very, very, very clearly different.
Yeah.
We got a server you can count that as payment. Also, didn't you just say that you haven't posted since earlier? You've streamed 2 times in the last 3 days. And not streamed after your video. But why would my video matter, man? This shouldn't be about what I think. Like, it shouldn't have any effect on whether or not you stream because of my opinion. Like, the whole thing should be about how the people actually in Technoblade's life feel about what you're doing. And I think Technodad made it pretty clear how uncomfortable it is.
The guy, by the way, reached over
but he did a live
100K
stream with LARP
on
Penguin
YouTube.
Zero. What? When yesterday? You're right. That was yesterday.
What?
So you have been live after the video too. That's not true. Just it wasn't on your own account, brother. Like,
Oh, we're just lying
I was
now?
talking about this situation. Is that bad? You can talk about whatever you want, man. But your point was that you haven't done this since, and that is categorically false. You've done it every day since even this post, the one that you say was like a joke. And you said that you haven't since I made my video. You have. Like, you can do that if you want, but why are you trying to pretend that you weren't or lying that you weren't? Like, you wanted me to find more context because you thought it makes you look better. It makes you look a lot worse, man. When was Technodad's response posted? 6 days ago. I was incorrect about my statement then. I've streamed LARP SMP 2 times since then.
What does that have to do with anything? We're still LARPing. Okay. He's saying he
and
did
you were wrong that you haven't
just because he did stream
gone live about it since my video too, man. It just wasn't on your channel.
That's by the way.
Like, I don't see the point in.
By the way, just for context, right? Because he's talking about like he went live, but not on his own account. If you go live, right, on any monetized account other than your own, and then you see like you check, right, the law literally says, like, I'm not even kidding, like in the UK law, I literally had to go to like some like place and check the government website and stuff. If you go to an account that you're offline, you're not streaming, you're not recording, you're doing nothing. Let's say I, as my streamer name, I go to a streamer who streams and his account is monetized. So let's say when he streams, he's live, he has ads on active, he has subscribers on, he has bits on, he has a donation link. Me being on the stream and having my name on that counts as me working with, in partnership with the person, and I'm considered working with a monetized account, right? I am considered live. I am considered working. It's considered as me working. That means you are live. It might not be your channel. You might not be earning money. You might not be seeing a single ounce of any pennies or anything. But just being on somebody else's stream and having your name there, even if it's not in the title or in anything, just you being present and being on the stream itself is considered working because the monetization is on. It's considered a collab because you're there. Just your presence itself.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Saying those things without knowing for sure if you have or have not been live in the last week or 24 hours. The persona is just my
what they consider as not live is they're not live on their own channel.
Personality. Then why not just be you? Then why do it all as Technolarp then? Knowing that it makes Technoblade's father uncomfortable. Why not just be inspired by him then? Instead of try to be him. My view on what Technodad feels and what you think are not the same, we should not assume. So what do you think Technodad feels then? That's an interesting perspective. Do you think he's wrong to feel inconclusive on this? I'd like to hear a little more on that. Because I think this one's pretty clear cut. I'm not making an assumption on how he feels. I think it comes across very clear. He even says, like, very bluntly, it's inconclusive. I think he feels a little overwhelmed and doesn't want to think about it at the moment. Did not get any negative or positive feel from it. That's so interesting. That's very convenient. So then let's play with that. So he's overwhelmed and doesn't want to think about it. So you keep doing it in the meantime. So you don't think he feels positively or negatively, just overwhelmed. Which inherently is kind of a negative thing, to be overwhelmed. I'm still thinking about it all.
He's just kind of weird.
When? While actively still doing it? I don't know, man. I think this is just very circular at this point. The missing context you were referring to, that you keep harping on,
It just
I don't
became
think
weirder.
did you any
It just made
favors,
it
and the
weirder.
more I looked into it, the worse I feel like it got. I still don't think you're doing it maliciously. I think maybe you just don't want to wrestle with just how fucked up it is. And
Yep.
you've come so far already that you don't want to really look in the mirror on it, to really see
Yeah.
the other perspective. And you don't want to feel like the father of someone who you clearly looked up to is being made uncomfortable by your actions, so you're spinning it in a way that helps you feel better about it. I think this reads very clearly
It's all about
how
perspective.
uncomfortable
This is
it
literally
is
just
for him.
perspective.
He even just point blank says, I've been putting this off for a while, I just don't know what to say to him. That's not positive. And you even say he's probably overwhelmed. That's a negative thing, man. And it is very tricky for him in particular because you have a very successful community, or very successful YouTube channel now with a community that has been constantly badgering this man about it, to the point that he did also make a post about how much it's coming up. And he doesn't want to, like, make enemies. This is a good guy. But I think anyone can look at this and see just how uncomfortable he is with this. Like, I don't think it's hard to see. We've raised over 3K for charity, and way more than I ever gained. However you spin it, that's a net positive for this situation. It's kind of shifting it, but alright. You also do just say outright that you are making on a personal level. It's just not to the level that's going to charity. Which, again, I don't think most people that are watching you knew. To be clear, 3K to charity I think is great. I think that's wonderful, to be fundraising and
I mean, still
giving
giving
it to
to
a good
charity is
cause.
giving to charity. That's a good thing.
He does, however,
in general.
say that he is making money himself through this too, just not as much that's going to charity. I don't know what that number looks like or anything, the difference between them.
This feels a little
But
weird.
everyone, or at least I would say most people that watch your content and are defending you, believe that you aren't making anything through this. You are doing this solely as a big fan and doing this to benefit a charity. And while you are benefiting a charity, 3K to charity is great. You also are financially gaining on a personal level too, which I think changes things quite a bit. At least to me it does. Because it's not something that's well known about Technolarp. And as you said in the stream, it's not something you talk about often. I think it's something that's pretty important to mention. Now, of course, you're not forcing it on anyone, which is good, and I'm not accusing you of doing something like that either. But when the whole narrative around what you're doing has fallen onto the defense of, yeah, but he's doing it for charity, this kind of thing, it is a different spin there, because there is a portion of it that's for charity, but you yourself are also gaining personally. I feel like you should see why that's a big deal, because you are impersonating a beloved YouTuber, and you never got permission for it. I compared it in the last video to like how AI will oftentimes,
That's what I said.
make content off of a passed away celebrity for their own self gain
That's what I said.
without permission
I
from
literally
like the
said this
family or
earlier.
anyone.
I literally
You
said
have
this
done
earlier.
something similar now. I think it's an even closer comparison. In the last video, I said the comparison would be like you are gaining a like successful YouTube channel, which is a big deal, but at least you're not like making money personally from it. But now turns out you are. So it is even closer to that AI comparison, and I believe, because you never got permission to do that. And in a case like this, as I think you recognize, that is important to see how the family feels, to see if they're okay with that. And you just took their silence as consent for you to continue to do this. And even when Technodad did make a statement that clearly expressed his feelings on this being very conflicted, you still continued to stream as Technolarp. Even though you said you hadn't done it since, it is provable that you have. Anyway, that was the extent of our conversation. I was very surprised that it even happened in the first place. I'm very surprised that this has even been like a big deal with the way I feel on it, because it's just my perspective on it. That's it. I don't like it, and I explained why. And to want me to dig deeper into it when there's things in there that I like even less that I didn't know about before is a pretty interesting strategy, and I don't really understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why my opinion on it mattered more than Technodad's opinion on it to Technolarp. I don't get that. That should have been the main focus is Technoblade's family okay with it? How do they feel? It should not matter at all how I fucking feel about it. I'm just some fucking Cro-Magnon man. Who cares? Now, I do want to reiterate, because my feelings on this haven't changed either. I really don't think that this is a bad guy. I really don't. I truly think this is someone that just is really wrapped up in this whirlwind that has found basically overnight success and has grown a very big YouTube channel off rip, just hitting the ground running. And there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations that are being had around it that he just doesn't really want to partake in good faith, or like really think too deeply on. And as he said in the stream, he's still thinking on it too. So anyway, I don't think this is like some malicious, evil, bad actor, but it is still a fucked up situation. So anyway, I mean, that's really about it. I've made this very clear throughout the almost 2 decades I've been on here, but don't ever fucking harass or go out of your way to be some insufferable asshole to someone that I yap about and just talk about. I've made that clear, but maybe it was worth a reminder here. Don't do that. Anyway, that's really about it. So yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Unnecessary harassment. Like, you can't. The problem is, like, there's a lot of things you want to say, but you can't because you know people are just gonna be like degenerate weirdos. And that's what makes like talking about things like harder, because then you have to worry for everyone else's safety because people are just stupid. Like, there's no other way to put it. People are just make everyone's life harder for no reason. Like, literally no reason. Like, actually no reason. It's reached a point where literally you have to worry about everyone else because the people you're like talking to are just that. Just weird.